but I feel like I hadn't been using it, I hadn't been utilising it. What type of witch am I right now? What if I tried making this shelf my altar? Hello Cinnamon Bun. It's been such a long time since I've done the vlog format. I'm actually really excited about this, but also feeling a little bit weird about it because it feels so out of practice, I guess. But hi, hello. So I thought I would do this little intro while I am getting ready. So we'll see how that goes. Well, basically I wanted to make this video like an altar tour, because I've never done one of those and I've been meaning to for ages, but then I've also like been kind of like unhappy with my altar and not really using it a lot and stuff, but I recently changed things quite a lot, and it's been really nice, so I thought now would be a good time to do it. I think with things like altar tours or like anything tours, like even if I was to do like a Notion tour or something, I have this perfectionism that it like needs to be like my definitive tour of that thing, so it needs to be my definitive version of that thing, where I think that's kind of dumb actually. And what I actually really enjoy when it comes to like tours of other people's places or things is like seeing it as a progression, right? So I like it when people that do like altar tours who are like practitioners or witches, I really like it when they do them like every so often and you're getting to see them update and change over time and stuff, because these things do change over time. So I'm trying to think of it more as like that. So here's what I'm currently doing and what it looks like right now without feeling like this is my definitive version of this thing. Do you know what I mean? So why now? Well, for a long time now, my altar has been this little like standing desk, like little bureau thing that I got from IKEA several years ago. And I actually chose that because I needed something like with a very low like footprint on the floor, because I was living in a really tiny flat at the time. And so the idea of having something like standing and using that vertical space made a lot of sense. And I've redone it multiple times, you know, it's changed over the years and I've added things and I've taken things away and I've tried different things. But ultimately I think what I'd identified is that really I just don't enjoy standing when I do stuff at my altar. Like I just want to be able to sit. And I think I fought that for a long time, and then I tried to find like, when I established or kind of realised like, oh, that is something that's definitely true, that I don't like that aspect of it. I tried to find workarounds around it. I was like, well, maybe I could sit at it, you know, at a cushion, and use one of the shelves or something, but then that means I can't use candles because there's not enough space, you know, like it would start to burn the top of the thing, and candles are essential. Like I cannot have an altar space that doesn't have candles, otherwise it just doesn't feel like an altar space to me. So I struggled with that for ages, and I was like, oh god, am I thinking of like trying another piece of furniture or moving my altar, even though I have this dedicated piece, which is really nice for storing all my stuff and I really like how it looks, but it's just not practical for actually, you know, being there and using it. And like I feel like so lucky to even have like a piece of furniture and a dedicated space for my altar, because obviously not everyone can have that. And so I went back and forth for ages. And actually what changed, have I done with that? No, I'm not done with that. Sorry, I'm trying to talk and focus while I do my makeup. It's like a thing. But what actually changed was, how did this start again? That's what it was. So there have been lots of different little areas in my house where I've been wanting to spruce things up, reorganize, kind of like, so I've said this a million times, but I use the KonMari method, right? Marie Kondo's method of house organization. Am I fully up to date and actively maintaining all of that in all the areas of my home? No, absolutely not. But I find it's an incredibly helpful system and principle to be able to use when I need it, basically. And so do I feel like I've ever completely finished the project of KonMariing my home? No. But when I do have the energy and motivation to organize or improve a place in my house, that is a system I use, and it does really work. So recently I've been getting more into herbalism and like home remedies and DIYing things, because of this little kind of DIY book I got called Make Your Place. And from that, and just because I already had some kind of like herbal remedies and apothecary things, I was like, I want to actually set aside a little dedicated place to make my little like home apothecary, because I was really excited about what I was learning and just the prospect of having that, you know, like almost like a little first aid kit of like collecting all my things and like having things to hand for when things come up, when there's scrapes or cuts or bruises or burns, or like one of the most classic ones that I have been using for years that, you know, kind of helps illustrate this idea of like home remedies and a home apothecary is just using crystallized ginger for nausea, right? One of the best things you can use if you're feeling sick, if you're feeling nauseous. I find it especially good if it's a kind of nausea coming from having eaten either too much or eaten something that's really rich and fatty. You know, you can kind of feel a little bit sick. It doesn't really work on an empty stomach for me, but so that's something I've kept in my kitchen for years, literally just for that. And like, you know, if I feel nauseous, I'll use it and it really works. And if I have people round or whatever and someone's feeling not so great, I'll be like, here, have some ginger. And so that's like one of the tiniest ways that I've kind of been having that kind of like sort of like witchy home remedy herbal practice. But like I say, I was expanding it and I wanted to dedicate like a specific little space in my house to that. And the place I ended up picking, because it was like really one of the only spaces that I had left that wasn't, you know, dedicated to storing something else or like already had a use or already had stuff there, was this little shelf on my sofa. So I have this like Ekeball sofa from IKEA that I think is discontinued now, sadly. But I really like it because it's really compact and it's got this kind of like industrial design where it's got these little shelves on the front and the back and actually on the side as well. So it's like a sofa and it has storage, which I really liked. But I feel like I hadn't been using it, I hadn't been utilising it properly. Basically the entire time I've had it. Like I basically just used to keep like that shelf had basically just had books and some knickknacks on there the entire time. And I was like, okay, well I've got this free shelf. Ideally for this like home apothecary, because it's like bottles of like tinctures and jars of herbs and stuff, I was like, ideally it would be an enclosed space, like maybe like a little cabinet or something, because obviously having them out just means they're all going to get dusty. So ideally it would be enclosed so that I can protect it from dust so I don't have to worry about cleaning it. But I looked around my house and I was like, I don't really have any options for that right now. I'd have to like go and buy some kind of storage solution or whatever, and I don't want to do that right now. So I was like, I'll just put it all out on this little tray and organise it there and we'll go from there. Is this my makeup done? No, we do still need lipstick. I like never fucking use this brown lipstick, so. Yeah, so I set up this little home apothecary just on a tray on that. And I just loved having it there. I was just like, it's nice, it's kind of, yes, it's annoying that it's going to get dusty, but I like that I can see it, it's really easy to access. I found I actually really liked just like going down there and kneeling to like go and get whatever I needed. At the time I was having horrible cramps and stuff, so I was using a bunch of tinctures and herbs and stuff to try and help with that. And I just really liked having it there. And I was like, hey, wait a second. What if I tried making this shelf my altar? What about that? And so, because like I say, for years I've had everything set up on this bureau and I've just not been using it. And I was like, actually, I think I do really like the idea of like sitting closer to the floor. I already have some floor cushions and stuff. I already have my little kind of domum, like house spirit shrine on the fireplace, and I really like going down to, I really like being close to the ground, actually, when I do stuff like that, like being able to kneel or sit on a cushion. And I was like, okay, why don't I try having my altar here? And that was part of this process that I ended up going through of kind of like reshuffling a bunch of different categories and different areas of storage and stuff in this room. I tried to like, you know, declutter and sort out like a bunch of little areas. I didn't pull out the entire room and sort everything, because there are some things that have been working, but there was just things building up in places. So like I reorganized the bookshelf. I like pulled all the stuff out from the coffee table and that. And one of the main things I did was basically move my altar, my working altar, onto this little shelf. And I've been fucking loving it. And so this is still kind of like a trial, but I don't think I'm going to change it, to be honest, because I really like working with it like that. It means the space is a lot more limited, so I can't have as much there. I'm still using, like, even though I've taken everything off the surface of that bureau, I'm still using the contents of that bureau for storage, for stuff that I don't use in the everyday as a witch. But I'm really liking this this shelf being my altar and sitting down on the floor. So I thought today, things have gotten a little bit messy in here, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tidy up. Because I'm on the floor now, I'm working on the floor, I need to fucking hoover and sweep more often, because that's like one of the things that I just never get to when it comes to house stuff. So we're going to tidy up, we're going to hoover. I'm going to give my altar like a little tidy up from the last time I used it, and then I'm going to show you it, and I'm going to give you the full tour and talk about why I'm enjoying this format so much. I also have a meeting with Christy, our usual Wednesday work meeting, like 20 minutes, so I'm going to do that as well, and then I'll come back to this. I should get changed before I put this on, shouldn't I? That'd be smarter. Yes. Okay, BRB. Oh my god. Oh yeah, that's it. One of the other main things that's changed that I'm trying, that I'm really liking so far. I used to have all of my makeup and cosmetics on the mantelpiece, and I would do my makeup on the fireplace at the mirror. But I decided to try moving it to my like little bedside. It's, well, my bedside table, but it's like a little cart from IKEA, because this space is so narrow. So I move it out to like make my bed, and then I put it back in. And now I've got it set up like this. So this is where I'm doing my face and makeup and stuff. This little mirror actually tucks down here, and then the rest of my makeup and stuff is just below there. And then I've got my currently reading books on the front as well. Anyway, how's your morning? Cool, that's great. Hell yeah. Okay, what are we doing today? We're doing planning. I feel like this is maybe the time where we're probably updating this routine again because of dashboards and stuff, but we can see as we go through that. Also, this is going to be the first time in ages that we've done our metrics and that, so we're going to be like basically updating that, like the spreadsheet and analytics and stuff. We've not done that in ages. Okay. As you can probably tell, I have lost most of the light. That meeting ended up running a lot longer than I thought it was going to, because we just had a lot of stuff to like plan and figure out, and some kind of business things that we'd fallen behind on for a few months, like looking at metrics and stuff. So we had just more to catch up on than I thought, and so it's later in the day now. I'm quite tired. My brain is a little fried. So it's now almost 5 and it's February in Scotland, so the sun is meant to set at like 5:20. So I think I'm going to try and get some of the tidying done, and if it's too dark then I'll just give you the tour tomorrow. And we're back. Okay, I've come back. It's the next day. I'm wearing the exact same outfit. But hello, welcome to the tour. So, just a tiny bit of context. If you're new here, my name is Rachel. I am your friendly neighbourhood creative witch, and I've been practicing for like over a decade now, on and off. And throughout that time, I have kind of identified with a few different paths. When I first started out, I had a real kitchen witchcraft phase, and then when I kind of came back to witchcraft, I was for a while identified as like an urban witch or a city witch or a house witch, and now it kind of feels like the path or the word that best describes my current practice is actually hedge witchery, because like most of my practice these days is spirit work, some herbalism, and doing stuff in the astral, and that to me pretty much fits the bill when it comes to being a hedge witch. So that's my kind of current identifier. I don't get really beholden to these, but I do. There is something like nice and kind of satisfying about like being able to identify like what type of witch am I right now, or like where do my interests lie, in terms of different paths, and like what am I actually doing the most on a day-to-day basis, I guess. Yeah, so that's my little bit of context. The other thing is that I also use something called the constellation system, which is kind of half organizational, half magic system. And if you've watched my channel before, you've probably heard me talk a lot about the organizational side and see like how I use it in my journal and stuff. Seeing my altar, you're going to get to see the more magical side of it, which is kind of cool. So let's get into it. Okay, so this is my general altar space. This little section here is not really part of my altar. This little drawer is for Pete to keep his stuff when he's here. This is just a little tea set, and that's just where I'm storing it. And then I've got this little bee ornament. It just sits there. This is Divination, so that's all my tarot decks and stuff. This part is really the main like working altar area. And then this side here is my apothecary and like herbalism stuff. And then to the right here, I've just got my little floor cushion that I used to sit on. And I've also got this tray, which I will take out if I need more space, like if I'm doing a working or a reading or something like that, then I'll use that tray on the floor as well. Okay, so this is the little kind of apothecary, my little home apothecary area of my altar. I have this little make your place book, which is honestly, I use this all the time. And then I've just also got this herbal magic book, which was a gift. This is not really herbalism in terms of like medicinal or physical uses. It's more like using herbs and plants for their like symbolic uses, like in spell work and stuff, which to be honest I don't do that much, but anyway. So I've got some ingredients. I've got raspberry leaf, I've got rose petals, I have an arnica cream, an aloe vera gel for burns. I actually just made this little cream yesterday because my shoulder has been a little bit achy recently, so I just mixed together some arnica with a little bit of clove essential oil, which is I believe it's a mild analgesic. It has like mild numbing properties, so I was hoping that would help. It did actually. Some ginger for nausea, and then I just got some tinctures. I won't go into all the details of those, but it's usually it's the ones that are relevant for like my health really. So I've got a few ones that are like good for kind of like cyclical and menstrual health, and then I like to use, I've got a mugwort and valerian, which I like to use for sleep. If I can't sleep, I actually just use that. Very early this morning because I couldn't sleep, and it was really helpful. And I also like to use those for like meditation and astral stuff sometimes. So that's the main apothecary area, and then I have all my essential oils in these boxes. So yeah, these are actually just candle boxes from House Witch. So that was, this candle's called The Witches, and it was Vetiver Smoke and Spruce, one of my favourites of all time. And yeah, I just like, when I got these candles, like I just love the boxes so much that I wanted to keep them, and then I've ended up using them for this, which is kind of nice. So this is just essential oils. I use those for just making things smell nice, like I'll diffuse in a little bit of hot water, like to make the room smell nice. And I only recently found out that you can use essential oils when diluted safely topically for things like for skin conditions and stuff. Obviously you probably don't need me to tell you this, but essential oils are toxic when ingested. Please don't eat or consume essential oils. But yeah, so that's been nice because I had these already just for aromatherapy, but now I'm using them in some like diluted in some oils and stuff for like, you know, minor cuts and bruises and stuff like that, which is cool. Oh yeah, and then something else that's actually kind of handy is that I'll also use this tray. Sometimes I'll just pop it here to give me a surface if I'm actually like putting together like some kind of herbal remedy or whatever. So I do use it for that as well. Okay, and then this little box is fun. So this is just a little bee. It's actually like a photo holder from Oliver Bonus, I believe. I just like bees, and I also have been, I guess, like thinking of working with a spirit in the form of a bee, and so it'd be nice to have that as a representation, but at the moment this is pretty much just decorative, or I will use it if I have drawn a card and I want to leave that card on my altar. I'll just leave it there. Or sometimes I might put a ritual card in there. If we remove the bee, inside this little box we have like some of my working altar stuff. So the first thing is my invocation ritual card. I just have the steps. It's super simple. Put on side, light a candle, dab some oil on my wrists and say an invocation, and I've got like a few different choices for which ones I can use, kind of like templates I guess, and I add like the address of whoever I'm addressing, and I use that all the time because that's my standard kind of ritual that I do at my altar, and that's how I kind of open the space, and it's really nice to just have it on that little card. On the back of here I have a different one of these oils are dedicated to different domains in the constellation system. So I've written what the name of the oil is, and then also what it contains, if I want those associations. And then these are those oils. These were from Marks and Spencer, these little rollerball ones from their like Apothecary line, which I really like. Yeah, so this one's called Balance, and I have that assigned to the domain of Socialis. And a bunch for the others. This one is called Focus Pocus, and that actually comes in a House Witch spell kit, and I got like a refill because I really liked it. And so this is the one I actually use for Spiritus. It's the only one that's not from that Marks and Spencer's range. And so I use that one for the domain of Spiritus, and also like if I'm invoking that domain or a spirit associated with that domain, I'll use that. But I also use that as my kind of catch-all. Like if I'm just like kind of opening, doing an invocation ritual, which is just to like any of my guides and not to a specific domain, then I use Spiritus, right? Because it's like that's associated with spirituality and witchcraft generally. So that's what's in there. And I also just have a little lighter here just for lighting my candle. The oils are part of my ritual, and what I will do is just roll this onto my wrist, and I will draw like the sigil for that domain on each of my wrists, and give it a good inhale and then speak my invocation. Okay, and then this is essentially the main working area of my altar. I have this dedicated candle, which is kind of dedicated to spirit generally. This is the candle I light. I only have one right now, actually. I kind of would like other candles here, but there's so little space that like it makes it a little bit tricky for like reaching over to do things and stuff. So I just got the one for now, but this is the candle that kind of switches on my altar and like opens that channel to whomever I might be kind of communing or talking with. And I will use this for anyone, so it could be general, just open generally, or I can use that along with other tools to invoke or like kind of commune with one specific being or spirit or deity or whatever. So that's my dedicated candle. It is like really simply dedicated with that Focus Pocus oil, and then actually my favourite thing to dress candles with is edible glitter, which is for baking. I've just got this gold glitter and just feels very fun and magical, and it's obviously like it's like food safe and skin safe and all of that. So that's my favourite way to dress and kind of assign a candle, is rub it in a little bit of oil and then just spray it with that glitter. And then, so I have these 6 stones. Each of these is representing a different domain in the constellation system, right? So we've got this, I think this is, I want to say it's an agate, this like burgundy kind of agate for corporalis. This is peacock ore, bornite, can't remember, for socialis, carnelian for domum. I believe this is bloodstone green. Is it bloodstone? I am not a very crystal-y witch. Just as a disclaimer, I don't really work with crystals a lot. I don't really care about the traditional meanings. I mainly work off of vibes and colours. So to me, it's not terribly important to know what what exactly these things are. I've just kind of assigned them based on how they feel to me. Hence why I don't really know. I think that's bloodstone. It's green. That's Divination anyway. And then I've got blue goldstone for Genero, and then or maybe this is the agate. It's like a purple striped agate for Spiritus. And then I have 2 representations of beings that I work with. This is a representation or a figure that I made. I made both of these out of clay, which is kind of wild to think about. I got really into clay for a while. I made these little figurines. This one is of my familiar spirit, which is in the form of a magpie, and this is my genius spirit or Genero spirit, like spirit of creativity, which takes this form of a starry kind of fox. This is some little printed images of different beings that I work with. This is what I used to consider like my big 3, and so I could fold this out into a little triptych. In fact, I can just show you. And so I would sometimes have like all 3 out and just put that around the candle. If I wanted to have it on there as well, I would sometimes just move the candle forward and have it like on there. So if I was addressing, all of my kind of spirits and beings and stuff, then I could use that. Or if I wanted to work with one specific one, then I could fold it down and just do it that way. So my kind of like roster of who I work with is changing a little bit. So it might be time to print out another one of these and update it. So yeah, so when I am working with someone specific, say I wanted to work with this familiar spirit, I would put out the appropriate picture, maybe move this to the forefront, or put my other representations away, and then I would choose the stone that is associated with that spirit, or the domain that I consider that a spirit to be associated with, and I would place that in the center. So this is basically designed to be like a very like efficient and small and functional kind of like altar shrine space, where I can work with, like, I can zero in on one being, or I can just work generally with all of them. And this is also probably a good time to say that, like, I do work with, or kind of have, beings or spirits that are associated with each domain. But I try not to be super rigid about that. I try not to think of them as being almost restricted to kind of that domain. I tend to think of them more as like allies or patrons of specific domains. But they might, you know, be good allies for multiple domains, or have one that they're stronger in and others that they're also connected with. But I try not to reduce them to just having like this single facet of being associated with this one domain. I almost think of it like, if you have friends with particular skills, like you might, if you have a particular issue, you might be like, oh, I know the friend to go to who would be able to help with that, but that's obviously not the entirety of the relationship, and it's not the only thing that they could help you with, right? People are more complex than that. So I try to think of it that way as well. So this is the main working area. This is my place for offerings. This little like feather dish. Put offerings on there. This is like a little box that I got in an antique shop, and I just thought it was so cute and magical looking. I had the kind of idea, I keep this here because I thought it might be nice to put like petition papers or like spell papers or whatever in there, like for anything, like almost use it like a little spell box or a spell jar. I have not as of yet done that, but I thought I'd put it out just to remind me that I have it. And then the other side I have kind of the opposite. So this is my cauldron. It's just a candle holder, an old concrete candle holder that I use to burn things in. And I also have this bell. This, to be honest, I've sometimes used to kind of like open my invocation. I got it in a charity shop. It's super rusty. I would really like to like give it a proper clean at some point and see if it would come up more shiny. But I just saw it in a charity shop and wanted it. Also because like I really like using pop culture magic, and I thought it'd be cool to have a bell, because one of my favourite kind of like magic systems and stories is Garth Nix's The Old Kingdom, where they use bells as basically magical tools. So I've got a bell. It's not a huge part of my practice, but it's nice to just have it there. And then I've got my cauldron, and it's actually empty right now. Wow. I also have a little incense thing in there so that I can burn incense directly in here. If I'm burning papers or doing release work or something, then I just take that out. But yeah. And then lastly, we just have my divination stuff. So these are just my decks. I've got the Seventh Sphere Lenormand by Labyrinthos. I have Spreadcrafter's Quest. Kind of got this as research for making the constellation deck, to be honest, but also because I like the idea. I haven't used it as much as I would like. I would really like to experiment more with this. And then just the actual Spreadcrafter's Oracle, which is basically a deck of like position or question cards to use for creating tarot spreads. Again, I would like to experiment with that more. This doesn't have a box because it came in like a larger set, but this is the anatomical tarot. It came with that modern tarot reader set. That was a gift. And then I've got the Modern Witch, which is ubiquitous, but I don't have a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, so this is what I use when I want more of that kind of traditional vibe. And then lastly, my Golden Thread tarot by Labyrinthos as well. This is probably my most used, to be honest. This is my like go-to deck. It's not here, but I also have the Golden Thread Lenormand deck, which is again like the playing card sized, like the black and gold version of this. So I actually have that in my bag because I was using it. And I think that's it. That's my altar. I hope it was interesting. I am excited to see how having it set up like this goes as I go through time. Like immediately, as soon as I made that shift, and I did some ritual, and I just hung out there for a bit and did some witchy stuff. Like I was like, I love this. There's something about being close to the ground that just feels really fun and magical to me. I really like that I can like pop out that tray if I want more space, but like the standard kind of version is very compact. And it has to be because it's such a narrow little space. And yeah, I've just been really enjoying it. I think also, yeah, it's so much comfier to be able to sit on the ground than it is to stand. And I think even if I am hanging out there for a bit longer, I can actually like put down both my floor cushions and like lie next to it, and then I get this like cool, like kind of like very close to the ground perspective where I get to see all my stuff like really close up and in candlelight. And it almost feels like if you've ever like lay underneath a Christmas tree and looked up at the decorations, it's got that kind of little sort of like slightly different perspective kind of magic vibe to it too. So I've been enjoying that. The one thing I'm not sure about still is that obviously I've still got a lot of stuff stored in my bureau altar. That's the stuff that I don't use as regularly. Like I tried to like include like my daily kind of shit on that one. So yeah, the other stuff I would go to less frequently, like if I was doing a specific spell or I need a container for something or whatever. And then it also doesn't have a mirror for mirror work, but then I've not been doing mirror work really in quite a long time. And I do have that mirror right next to me that I could use instead. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any questions. And I'll see you in the next one. Hello, this is hunkered down in the co-working space toilet editing Rachael, to just give you a couple reminders and updates here at the end of the video. You made it. So firstly, I wanted to let you know that if you're not on my newsletter already, I don't know what the fuck you're doing with your life. It's really good, and it's not just like updates of when I post new videos, you know, it's a lot more than that. I do a little almanac update. I share like favourite things that I have come across recently, books that I'm reading, videos I've liked, tips or like tricks and stuff that have been helpful for me. So a couple of my recent ones, I did a little rundown of all my favourite things to watch, like things that I love for relaxing and recharging. Just like my top recommendations for things to watch, some free and some on streaming services. I also recently did a newsletter called The Gold Lining of the Storm Cloud, where I just told, you know, kind of like a long story about a really bad mental health day that I'd had recently, and what was different about this, and some of the things that I found that were actually really helpful that I hadn't really used before. And that's not available anywhere else. So yeah, if you like my stuff, if you like my chat, I think you would love the newsletter. You should get on it. You can do that at rachelstephen.com/newsletter. And then my other little thing is just reminding you that I have a Patreon and that you can join it. There's a couple different perks, but one of the main ones which you get for like $2 a month is the patron periodical. And so that's basically like a patron exclusive blog of like creations and resources and stuff. I put out a new entry every month. Some of the things we've had in the past, we've done card reveals of the cards from the constellation deck. We've done that for Corporalis, for Domum, for Divination and Genero. I've also shared playlists, free to listen playlists of all the music from my videos, both the chill smooth jazz of the bullet journal videos and the more varied stuff from my vlogs. We have recordings of previous live streams where I talked about all of my spirits, deities and guides that I work with and how I work with them, modernising and personalising the Wheel of the Year. Yeah, just lots of stuff. So if any of that sounds good to you, please do think about becoming a patron for however long you feel like it. Yeah, I'm a little bit late making this video. I'm hoping it's still going to be up on time, but it's just been slightly chaos with running constellation clarity and stuff for the first time. So I'm really looking forward to getting back to like a regular rhythm with things. Me and Christy have talked about it and we're like, we're never launching a new thing in winter ever again, because it's just, we always end up getting sick and there's just too much other things going on and stuff, and it just ends up being chaos. So that's a learning lesson. That's a lesson we've learned for planning business stuff. But yeah, I am going back to Muay Thai tonight for the first time in like over a month, because between like health issues and work stuff and just life chaos, I haven't been back in that long and I am scared. Oh God, I'm not expecting it to be, it's just daunting. It's just daunting because it's very intense if I haven't been in a while. But you know what? Either it's going to be really intense and maybe kind of shitty, but I'll still have the satisfaction of knowing that I finally went back after wanting to for like a month, or as what usually happens, it's not going to be as bad as I expected to. And actually, I haven't lost as much of my fitness as I expected, and it's fine. So wish me luck with that. And for me, good luck with the rest of your day, whatever that brings. As usual, I hope you're okay. I hope you're taking care of yourself. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.